Good morning and welcome to Coach's Corner on this another brisk, cold Saturday morning. Saw 34 below on my phone this morning, so if you haven't stepped outside yet, make sure you bundle up before you head out and get business taken care of. And it was not a very busy night last night at all locally for sports. Just sorry about that, George, as we had only 4 games going on in the area last night. Let's start with the Bronco girls hockey team, who played at Park Rapids area last night, and they took on the Panthers for the second time this season. The Bronco girls were never really threatened as they won 10-0. They got 5 first period goals. They got a goal from Natalie Hergis to start things off. That was her first varsity goal. And then Amber Thielander added 3 goals in the first period. Maria Vollum got one as well. It was 5-0 after the first. Olivia Wright and Morgan Rasmussen had second period goals, and then Rasmussen, Taylor Sears, and Faith Black added goals in the third period for the final margin of 10-0. Grace Wegner got the shutout in goal with 12 saves as the Broncos outshot the Panthers 66-12. The Broncos get no rest, basically. Got on the bus home last night, and they right back on the ice early this afternoon as they take on Crookston at 1 o'clock. Crookston was in Hibbing last night. They lose to Hibbing Chisholm by a score of 9-1. The Rainy River basketball teams, speaking of Hibbing, were in Hibbing last night for a pair of games, and the women were taking on the number 7 ranked team in the nation in Hibbing, who has been absolutely lights out this year, and Rainy River comes away with a 71-66 win. Deja Monroe led the way with 21 points. Valon Mobley added 20. Speaking of getting no rest, the Rainy River women also right back on the floor this afternoon. They're at home for a 1 o'clock game against Vermilion. The men absolutely had themselves a half last night. This is just kind of crazy. They were leading 44-34 at halftime, and then they scored 73 points in the second half. Think about that. That's more than 3 points per minute. Along the way, 73 points and we're going to have a chance to talk to at least head coach Bill Engel, I know, this morning about this game. I can't wait to hear how it all transpired. They beat Hibbing 117-76. 6 players in double figures: Anthony Mara 20, Trey Jones 19, Devarius Wright 17, Kevin Melendez 15, Isaiah Sims 13, and Jose Martino 11. Voyagers also faced Vermilion this afternoon. That game is scheduled to tip off at 3 o'clock. The Fort Francis Lakers got 3 first period goals. They added 1 in the third for a 4-3 win over Minnesota last night at Ice for Kids Arena. Adam Withers had a 3-point night as he had a goal and 2 assists for the Lakers, while the other goals were scored by Jack Burney, Jack Donnell, and Jaden Ness. High school sports from around the area last night. Let's start in boys hockey. Cloquet Esco Carleton 4-3 over Eden Prairie. Is that putting Section 7-2A on alert? I think so. St. Paul Johnson, who will be at Bronco Arena, we'll talk more about that coming up. They get a 1-1 tie at Lake of the Woods last night. North Shore loses to Princeton 7-1. Ely beats Bagley Foston 9-8. Couple games in girls hockey last night. Warroad 2-0 over East Grand Forks, and Forest Lake, who's ranked number 5 in the state, all over Duluth 7-0. Boys basketball, Northeast Range 49, Lake of the Woods 35. Silver Bay in a low-scoring affair also with Cook County. They win 48-31. Fond du Lac 73, Chisholm 70. Detroit Lake 69, Crosby Arrington 47. Aiken loses to East Central 72-46. Deer River all over Evelyn 70-46. Floodwood 7 points better than Two Harbors at 63-56. Barnum beats McGregor by 20, 68-48. In a high-scoring affair, Renshaw, who's had quite the season for them, they beat Southridge 90-85. Ely 66-57 over Nashua Keewatin. Northwoods, we're going to talk a little bit about Northwoods in a second here, as Northwoods beats MIB 77-38. Don't bump that camera, Ethan Alleman, or you're going to get a whooping. Just going to tell you that right on the air. Don't move that camera. Whew, boy, I tell you, you're flirting with disaster, buddy. Okay, back to Northwoods, 77-38 over MIB. Northwoods, ranked number 1 in the state the entire season so far. They take on Nevis, who's ranked number 3 at the Martin Luther King Classic that's taking place at Duluth East today. 6 high school games starting at 10 o'clock. Go have your feast of boys basketball down there. I wish that would be one place, if I wasn't here watching Bronco sports this afternoon, that would be one place definitely to be. In other boys games, Moose Lake 62, Cromwell 50, Black Duck 87, Northholm Kellier 84, and Nevis, who I talked about, they play Northwoods this afternoon. They beat Lakeview Christian 66-44. In girls basketball, Silver Bay 33, Cook County 31, Thief River Falls 57, Hibbing 37, Aiken 78 all over Duluth Denfeld 26, Duluth Marshall 52, Duluth East 33, and a little bit of the discrepancy in the score. Duluth Marshall has a very good team. Cherry, here's the upset of the night, folks. Cherry 67, Proctor 60 in girls basketball. Crookston defeats Virginia 53-41, and Grand Rapids 69-53 over East Grand Forks. Minnesota Timberwolves continued their winning ways last night at home as they played a very even first three quarters with the Knicks. Then they absolutely took over in the fourth, blew the game wide open, cruised and beat New York 118-108. Karl Anthony Towns an assist short of a triple-double, 23 points, 15 rebounds, and 9 assists. Taj Gibson added 17, and Andrew Wiggins had 16. In college hockey last night in the Big Ten, Michigan State 2, Wisconsin 0, Penn State 5-2 over Ohio State, and the Gophers lose to Michigan 5-3 on home ice. In the NCHC, St. Cloud State, the number 2 team in the nation, they get beat 7-5 at home by Western Michigan. Omaha 11, Miami 7. I had to check it out, double check that score. 11-7 in college hockey, you just don't hear it. UMD 6-5 over Colorado College. UND and BSU played last night, and the Fighting Hawks get the better of it 5-1. Mankato loses to Alaska 5-0. In women's hockey, Bemidji State 5-3 over UMD, and Vermont comes up with the big upset of the night as they beat Minnesota 4-2. What's going on locally today? Well, if you can't get out and find a Bronco team to cheer for in your hometown, or a Rainy River team to cheer for, you just aren't looking well enough. It gets started with the Bronco girls hockey team. They're at home against Crookston at 1 o'clock. The Bronco girls basketball team at home against Two Harbors at 2:30. The Bronco boys basketball team is on the road at Proctor for a 4 o'clock game. That game originally scheduled for 5 o'clock. Got changed to 4 o'clock earlier in the week. So if you're heading south for that game, make sure you make the adjustment to your plans. The Bronco boys hockey team, they're going to be at home for a 6 o'clock game against the St. Paul Johnson Governors, and we're going to talk more about that as the Bronco boys will be part of my, we're going to ask them some trivia questions so they can start thinking about it over there. Oh, that got their attention. We're going to ask them what years the Broncos have played St. Paul Johnson and what their record is against St. Paul Johnson. That's what your guys' trivia. So start doing your studying over there. Get your phones out. Good job. That game's at 6 o'clock. You can listen to it. If you can't make it down to Bronco Arena, Mike and I will be there for our 5:40 pregame show. Drop of the puck at 6. Rainy River basketball teams at home, as I mentioned, at 1 and 3 o'clock against Vermilion, and the Fort Francis Lakers are at Minnesota down in Hoyt Lakes for a 7 o'clock game. Minnesota Wild versus Winnipeg tonight. It's a 6 o'clock game. Pre-game at 5:45 on KGHS 1230 AM. So we'll have wall-to-wall hockey on our 2 stations here this evening. Gopher men's basketball is at home against Purdue at 11 o'clock. You can see that game on ESPN2 as you can watch the carnage possibly. The Gopher women's basketball team, they're in Rutgers for a 1 o'clock game. That's on BTN. The Minnesota Timberwolves take on, oh, that's not right. That's not right. That's from last week. Apologize. NFL playoffs today. Falcons at Eagles. That's the number 6 seed versus the number 1 seed in the NFC. That game goes at 3:35. And then the Titans, they take on the Patriots tonight at 7:15. Tomorrow, free throw competition going on at the Rainy River Community College for the kids that are ages 9 to 14. 12 winners will be crowned tomorrow in 12 different age divisions. Boys 9 through 14, girls 9 through 14. So if you've got a shooter, a basketball player, heck, even if they're a hockey player, even if they don't play, come on out and be a part of the activities. We'd love to have you. Registration is at noon, and the competition begins at 1 o'clock. In the NFL tomorrow, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are at the Steelers for a noon game. And then, of course, there's a little game involving the purple and gold tomorrow. That game starts at 3:40. Pre-game at 2:30 on K104 as the New Orleans Saints come to Minnesota for the playoff game. As I remember, they started the season, and let's hope that they don't end the season for the Vikings there. The Timberwolves, they take on Portland tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and the Wild take on Vancouver at home tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So a plethora of Minnesota sports tomorrow afternoon and evening. Let's talk about our Local Broncos that have gone on further, starting with Claire Palm, Lexi Graves, and Casey Myers. They've got one final weekend off before they get their Rainy River women's hockey season going again next weekend. Amy Orn, last week she got a pair of assists, one in each game, in 10-4 wins and 10-4 and a 10-3 win over Concordia. Last night, River Falls, she got an assist and a 5-0 win. Those two teams play again tonight. Lexi Edwards last week, Saturday, got a 4-0 win. On Tuesday, they get a 9-0 win, does Sacred Heart. Last night, they lose 1-0. Those two teams, Sacred Heart plays St. Michael's again tonight. Lucas de Benedict last Saturday lost to Geneso out east by a score of 4-3. Last night, Northland College played the Milwaukee School of Engineering. They got a 1-0 win, and they play Concordia University of Wisconsin tonight. Abby Koshik and the Moorhead State women's swimming team, they are hosting the Dragon Invite this weekend. Last night, Abby was part of the 200 medley relay that took 6th. Individually, she took 19th in the 200-yard backstroke and 23rd in the 100 fly. Lexi Erickson with the St. Kate's indoor women's track and field team. She will get things restarted next week. Bronco fans, if you want to go see something, go to the CSSSaints.com site. If you click on women's indoor track, first person you're going to see, Brianna Schaffner, a double winner last night. She won in the triple jump with a personal best mark of 34 feet 5.5 inches last night at the St. Thomas Invitational, and then she was part of the 4x200 meter relay team that won that one. So you go onto the site, there's Brianna Schaffner. Click over on the men's indoor track and field, first person you're going to see, Wyatt Helgeson. Him pole vaulting over the bar. He set a personal best last night as he went 13 feet 5.25 inches as he took 6th place. Taylor Hebner was also in action last night. She was down in Mankato as part of the UMD women's indoor track and field team. She took 4th place in the 800 meters. Savannah Olson will get her indoor season started today with the Super 8 Open, and Sydney Radboy with the UND women's indoor track and field team. She's in Fargo today for the Bison Open. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk boys hockey and see how the boys did on their trivia questions. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. The boys are rehearsing their answers. We were talking about it during the break, so let's not delay. Let Trevor Beckvar, Jake Clow, Ethan Alleman, head coach Jordan McDonald joining me. And so I had you guys doing your homework. The phones popped out. I loved it. Okay, so what'd you find out, Beckvar? First question is, when was the last time the Broncos played the St. Paul Johnson Governors?
We found out in 1971.
1971 in the 3rd place game. That is correct. Did the Broncos win or lose?
I did not find that information out.
Oh, they won. Okay. How many times have the Broncos and the Governors played each other? 4 times is correct. So in 1963 in the state championship game that St. Paul Johnson won in overtime. No, and the Broncos runner up. Otherwise there'd have been 5 state championships in a row. Ooh, don't bring that up. That's a sore subject with certain people. Okay, 63?
And 64.
64, where they beat St. Paul Johnson in a revenge game in the state championship game. And so we got 63, 64, and 71. So we know if 71's the last one, there's got to be one in between there. Did you find it? No. That's good. Hey, you guys did pretty good. 1968 in a quarterfinal game that the Broncos ended up losing. So the Broncos are 2-2 all time against St. Paul Johnson Governors. Last time they played 1971. So George, you got to get the microphone in your hand. Tell me, how does St. Paul Johnson end up coming to Lake of the Woods in International Falls to play in 2018? Or how does this work?
I have absolutely no idea.
That's a good answer, George.
And that is the truth. Evidently, I don't know if coach has ties up here or what, but they wanted to come up north and make a swing, and I see that they've done the same over at west. They played Little Falls, a common opponent of ours, and so I think they want to make a swing up here. And and Lake of the Woods has a very good hockey team this year. They played over there last night, and I think just geographically it worked out for them to play Lake of the Woods and then come over here and play us today. So we're looking forward to it.
Let's. I'm. Like I said, I'm excited about it as well. Let's go back to last Saturday. Game played in Silver Bay, and you already got to talk, so we'll start with Jake. Jake, it was a game that was very tight. The Broncos had to come back with 3 third-period goals, win 5-4 in a very, from what I'm told, a very exciting game. What do you recollect from last Saturday's game in Silver Bay?
Well, I think they got 2 goals right away in the first period, and then we battled back and made it 2-1, and they put 2 more in the second period, and then we just came back from there and didn't stop.
Didn't stop. Things kind of got going. Who got things started, Ethan? Who's kind of the igniter? Who maybe got things rolling for the Broncos in the third period in that game last Saturday? Or is that too long ago? That's in the past. It's too far.
Yeah, I don't really have memory.
Trevor, how about you? I think I saw your name as one of the goal scorers. Didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you the igniter?
I scored the first goal.
You scored the first goal of the game. Okay, yeah. Beckfar, Lawrenson, Gonzalez, Jermaine Koshik gets the game winner with about a minute 6 left.
Let's not
as I look at my notes.
that Gonzalez goal in there was mine, by the way.
It was.
Yeah.
Coach, can you confirm or deny that?
Confirmed.
Confirm. Let me change it then, right here, because
that was confirmed and it's wrong on Hub. But that goal went to Ethan Allman. I remember it clearly, so I will.
All right, I'll make the change on here. So when I say it at the end of the show, I've got it right. It's a good thing Ethan Allman was here this morning. Everything is right in the world now. Let's go to Tuesday night. Was the Tuesday night game more exciting than the 5-4 comeback win, the 2-2 tie against Virginia, Trevor?
I don't know. That comeback was pretty exciting, I gotta admit. But shutting down one of the top teams in our conference was definitely a huge thing.
Jake, you had 45 saves. My daughter told me some of the incredible variety. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think some of them were more out there.
More out there.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. What was your mindset? Because when you get 47 shots on goal, you don't ever have time to lose focus, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's just a fun game playing Bronco. It's really electric in there with all the fans going crazy and stuff, and gets you hyped up.
If I remember right, and I maybe don't, it was either 7-1 or 7-2 when you guys played them early in the season. Ethan, did that kind of maybe sit in your guys' brains, saying maybe we owed them a little bit going into that game?
Definitely so. I feel like some kids might have been more on edge, wanted to get some revenge back, because we knew that we weren't a 7-1 loss to them. I mean, we kept up in the first and second period that first game we played them, and we just had to get some revenge. We knew we weren't like that far out of their reach. We're a good team and keep up with them all the time. So,
George, what's maybe different about this team from the time that they played Virginia way back in early December to what you see in this team right now? Because I know we were talking maybe during the holidays or right after the holidays that maybe there were the power play needed a little work, but obviously this team has gotten better. What do you kind of feel is maybe the difference that this team?
The first time we played Virginia, I actually thought we played very well 5-on-5 against them. And as you mentioned, we've talked about special teams. We gave them opportunities in the first game. I believe they had, if I'm not mistaken, 5 power play goals that game, and I think 4 of them were in the third period. So one bright spot I think the other night is something we've talked about is our special teams, and I thought our man Short did extremely well the other night. They played very well. I mean, I don't remember how many penalties we had, 3, 4 maybe, but they got a very good guy, and Jake Seitz on the point, and who can make you miss really easy. So I think our kids stayed back. We had a little different approach to it than just going after him this time. We stood firm and clogged lanes, and he wasn't able to find anything. And kind of like Trevor said, to shut a guy like that down is really credit to these guys, what they did that night. So I think our special teams have improved. And like I said, I thought 5-on-5 that game we were okay against them. But I think the biggest difference was special teams that night, and just like Jake said, the crowd was great. It was exciting, and I think it gave the kids a good boost of confidence.
Yeah, it seems to me, and over the last couple of weeks, and just like I said, I haven't seen you guys now since the Fort Francis. Speaking of comebacks, there's another one. You guys down 4-0. You guys come back and win 5-4. was that maybe, Trevor, you're the captain of this team, was that maybe kind of a game where if you guys don't come back and score the last 5 goals of that game, including in overtime, is it kind of maybe one of those things that maybe the season takes a little different turn? Or am I making too much out of that comeback win?
I would say that, I don't know, like, it was a huge turning point right then and there. We started to get our lines figured out and everything, and then from there you could tell everything started rolling a lot better, even during practice and everything.
Okay. Of course, you guys play over in War Road. Do you guys get, I'm going to think about this now, 2-0 losses and a 5-3 win over Grafton. Jake, did you kind of feel like maybe that momentum from that Fort Francis game went over Christmas and into that tournament at War Road?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it helped carried over and gave us a little bit more of a boost down there too and help us out.
Is it something, Ethan, that this team, and it's tough because it's tough to keep sustaining that momentum. Every team has their ups and downs. Is it something now where not that you hope to not keep climbing, but you kind of hope to have a plateau and not dip down? And I'm sure that's the case. What do you guys do in practice to try to make that happen?
Well, in practice, we like to try to keep the intensity up, try to keep kids rolling, keep their heads up. I mean, some of the seniors helping out, trying to keep practices moving, keep all the kids fresh. I mean,
Okay,
nothing else we can really do.
So the first thing that when you said that went through my mind, does that mean that, and don't everybody take this the wrong way, does that mean that practices have to be intense in the fact that, and I don't want to use the word chippy, but you're staying sharp by being aggressive in practice. You're not cheap shotting somebody, but you're making that hard hit. When you're scrimmaging or when you're doing things, you're being aggressive, you're being physical. Is that what you're trying to get at about staying sharp in practice?
Yes, our coach Terry Thompson likes to say we got to practice like we're playing a game all the time. So
I look to my left and there's Trevor just smirking at. Yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Is it critical? I mean, really, seriously, is it critical to practice that way? In your guys, in the kids' minds?
Yes, definitely. It just keeps everyone ready for the game because you're not going to expect anything different during a game.
So we got St. Paul Johnson coming up tonight. I'm sure we have not really know anything other about them than what I asked you about the trivia questions, and that they got a 1-1 game last night in Lake of the Wood. Oh, coach has got something good. I thought you.
No, I thought you were going to ask me about St. Paul Johnson, and I did talk to Kucher over there, who, our buddy Kucher over there played them, and he sent me film on them. And what I have been telling the boys is that they are a very physical team, and their bread and butter is their forecheck. And I watched that video, and he's exactly on cue. They like to dump the puck and get after it, and they're physical. So our forwards are going to have to do a good job of slowing their forwards up on the forecheck and giving our D some time to react to the situations that they give us and make plays coming out of our own end. I think that's going to be crucial.
I was looking at their roster this morning, getting ready for the game for the broadcast tonight, and I noticed there's a lot of guys with 6-1, 2s, 3s after them. They must have at least some height. I don't know how physical they are, but like you said, they're a big physical team. Evelyn Gilbert coming up on Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah.
First time down in Evelyn. I think you guys got a 5-2 win. So is it because Evelyn and Virginia are so close together? You guys get a win and a loss down there. Is it easy, Trevor, to kind of go, well, we beat them 5-2 last time, so you start maybe looking past them a little bit?
No, definitely not. Every team, every game is a new game. You can't look at the past at all, or you can't look at anyone else's record against them.
Keep talking.
No, but definitely that's a huge game for us, definitely for conference too, for points.
Duluth Denfeld coming up on Saturday, next Saturday at home. We'll have that game for you on K104 as well. That's another big Section 7 game, Jake. I think we went down there last year. I think we got thumped pretty bad, didn't we? If I remember. Oh, Jake is closing his eyes over here. Jake, you're not liking the memories that I brought up?
No, just a rough game overall for everyone on the team, actually, but especially me.
Okay, well, yeah, those games happen. I'm just looking at the schedule. North Shore coming up at home the following week. You guys get Greenway at home on back-to-back nights. they make the schedule any easier for you, Coach, did they? By putting North Shore and Greenway back to back? What else you guys got coming up here? I'm just quickly scanning the schedule here. Boys hockey versus Pequot Lakes. There's another one. I think we talked about that at the last time, George, that you were on. You talked about that they called you up and they wanted to get you on the schedule. Is that right? If I remember right?
Well, I think they're actually called River Falls, if I'm not mistaken. I think that there's a connection there. The coach at River Falls is a brother to the coach at Virginia here, Reed. And so they also wanted to play some northern teams. They've been making a couple swings up here, which is great for us. It's great to see some new people and new folks, as it's, up here it's getting harder and harder to get games, especially for our junior varsity team, who really gets short-ended on games. And a lot of the smaller communities around here that we play, Lake of the Woods and Ely and some of them don't have JV teams. So it makes it really hard on our JV program to, get the number of games that make it beneficial for them. So it's great. River Falls, St. Paul Johnson. I hope these are a couple games that we can keep on the schedule for some time.
You notice I skipped over a game. Did you notice that? That I just right over the top of it on Monday, January 29th? You know what I'm talking about, Trevor?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
You know what's happening on January 29th?
Yeah, Fort.
The Fort over at Ice for Kids Arena. I go back to that game before Christmas in my mind. Of course, Bronco Arena, 3/4, 7/8 full, big crowd, great atmosphere. But it seemed that the hits were huge that night. You guys are both defensemen. There were some big hits in that game. And usually, in a hockey game, you go out that first shift or two, and you get a good bang, you get a good, and then when everybody starts playing hockey, it didn't seem to calm down that night one bit. Everybody was out, and I'm not saying not dirty. I'm just saying physical, hard hockey. Is that a key against Fort Francis, Trevor, to get a win?
Yes, I expect that every time we play Fort. They're usually a big physical team, and that's the way they play hockey, so we have to play it the same way they do.
Guys, appreciate you being here this morning. Good luck tonight. Good luck the rest of the way. Hopefully, come February, we'll be talking about a great run in the Section 7 playoffs. Thanks for being here this morning.
All right,
Trevor Beckvar, Jake Clow, Ethan Alleman, George McDonald joining me here. We'll take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk Rainy River men's basketball. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner, and we were just chatting during the break. That's why I'm chuckling as we come back. I've got on my Adam Thielen jersey this morning, my brand new Adam Thielen jersey, and Coach Engel was asking me, how old can you be before you stop wearing your favorite team's jersey? And I said, no, you're good. And I said, maybe never. Maybe you should try to stay a kid forever and whatever. So Coach Bill Engel joining me, and Coach, we've got. I'm dying to know, and I heard a little bit of the explanation. 73 points in the second half last night, and a win in Hibbing. You had to be pleased.
We're really happy with our kids. They came out in the second half and played much more aggressively, and we started to get some traps and tips and takeaways, and we're go the other way and score a lot in transition, and that really made the difference in the game in the second half.
I was describing to some of the people here this morning. They were mentioning, they were discussing whether they were going to the Bronco games or they going to the Rainy River games, and they mentioned the Rainy River games. And I said to them, did you happen to be at the game on the Saturday before during December? The only 2 home games you guys have had. And I said, did you see some of the athletic ability? And I brought up the DeVarius, right, through the legs, dunk, blah blah blah. I said, you don't. People in International Falls, you get to see that stuff on TV. You don't get to see it live very often. You've got a team that is super athletic, is the point that I'm trying to make. They're a lot of fun to watch. Is that the kind of basketball that you like coaching? Is that the way you see it, or is it just maybe this team has that ability to be able to do those things?
Well, I'd like to say, at our level right now, when we go out and recruit, we're trying to find the best players that we can find that'll play the best together. Kids that are good athletes, good students, and good people. And, at the end of the day, if we find those, then, we're going to take the group that we have and we're going to make the most of it and try to put them in the best positions they can to have the most success. So, that's how we look at it when we get these guys on campus and after we've recruited them and spent some time with them in the summer. And, if it's more of an up and down team, then so be it. And if it's going to be a little bit more of a slug it out team, then, we'll live with that as well. But right now, we're a team that can really get up and down the court. We can really defend. We do a really, really nice job of sharing the ball. and playing defense. So when we do all those things in a given night, we feel like we're a good team. When we lack those things, and we feel like we struggle a little bit.
You mentioned while you were talking during the break that you kind of got Hibbing down, and maybe they let up once they realized what it was going to be. But I don't care to put up 73 points and a half. And I know you guys, I know last year one time I think you put up 66 points and a half, and I think earlier this year you guys put up 62 and a half. So this isn't something unknown. What is it? Is it just the athletic? Is it that defensive stuff that makes this team the ability to be able to put up over 60 points and a half?
It absolutely is the defensive end. You'd like to think, well, we've got a lot of offensive firepower, and we can shoot the three, and we can get to the basket. But the reality is, that's a lot of points, and you have to really play good defense and be able to get some runouts and be able to finish at the rim. And when you can do that on the defensive end, it just really turns into offense.
Let's talk about before the holiday break, the season. I think you guys, if I remember right, 9-2 before the break, was it? Something like that. I think it had a 2 on the end of it. Talk about how you felt like the play of your team was before the holidays.
I thought we'd been a little bit inconsistent. There'd been some nights where we'd been really good. Last year we went through some of the statistics, and the team in the nation that was the best at sharing the ball was UCLA. They assisted on about 60% of their baskets. So that was something that we were really using as a benchmark for ourselves. And when we play really well, we assist on anywhere from 60 to 70% of our baskets. And when we struggle a little bit more, then we're assisting on maybe 45 to 55% of those baskets. So we really emphasize trying to make the extra pass and playing unselfishly, and we feel like we're making strides in that area, and that's a little bit of the inconsistency to start. I think you said 9-2. I want to say it was 8-3,
okay. Maybe, and it could have been the women's team that I was thinking. It was 9-2.
Right.
It could have.
It was close to that, and I think in those games that we had won, I think that we had really shared it well. In the games that we had lost, I think we were a little inconsistent in that category.
I think maybe you came back a little early. I'll use that from New Year's. You got the kids back on campus. You take a trip out to North Dakota, your old stomping grounds out that way. You guys get a split, if I remember right, to talk about what your kids did coming off of the break in those games out at North Dakota.
We went to North Dakota and we played Division I junior college in Lake Region State, and felt like we played really, really well. That was a game, if I remember right, we assisted on like 28 of 39 baskets, so a very high percentage there. And when you share the ball like that, you're really going to score it. So really happy with our kids. We were a little smaller than they were. They had a 6'10", 7'1" guy, wow. 6'8", but just felt like we played really good position basketball. Didn't let them get easy looks, and at the end, when you win a game like that by 20, you're really happy about it. And then the next night, we actually went to Northland and played Dakota College of Bottineau, which is a Division II team, and they were 14-0 at the time. And we were down 10-0, took a timeout, and our guys really came back, played hard. We were able to get up 15 at one point. That game went back and forth. We ended up losing by 11, but we thought that we showed a little bit of grit in that game and just needed to finish.
Today you get, pardon me, is the Northern Division got started last night with Hibbing, played Vermilion. Vermilion's always one of those teams that's at the top of the Northern Division. What do you know about Vermilion coming into today's game?
Vermilion's very, very athletic. They've got, 3 guys that score about 65% of their points, and Demetrius Mitchell, Bradley Lewis, and Denario Jackson, really athletic kids. All 3 of them can shoot it. All 3 of them can get to the basket. So they're not a group of kids, and those 3 that you can go out and say, well, let's just force him left, or let's back off of him and make him shoot it. It's just, all 3 of them are really good players. And they added another kid last night to the roster, and he scored 20 for them. So we know that they've got 4 legitimate scorers coming in, and all of their other kids really play hard. They defend. They like to get up and down. So, it could be a game where you come out and you see 120 points on both sides or something crazy like that. But, on the tail end of a back-to-back, you just never know how it's going to go. We're going to get our kids in the gym this morning and talk a little game planning, get some shots up, and, hopefully our kids respond well.
Through the we'll call it the preseason, the games before the holiday break, you look at the Northern Division, talk about maybe the top 4 teams right now going in that would look to make the Region 13B tournament coming up in March. Who kind of looks at the top of the Northern Division?
If you look at the standings right now, Northland, Vermilion, Central Lakes, and us, it seemed to be the 4 teams that are winning more games than they're losing, and the other teams, are struggling maybe to put it together. But in any conference, as you get into the season, every team gets to know every other team really, really well. So you never know how that's going to turn around. I've got a lot of respect for all of those teams and their coaches and players. So, if you don't come prepared every night, anything can happen, and you just can't really afford to lose games if you're really trying to get to the Region 13 tournament and make some noise in that.
Let's talk about your players that you've brought in. I know you had a few kids coming back, but you got a lot of first-year kids. Talk a little bit about maybe in particular some of the kids that have had to step up and given you significant minutes, whether it sometimes defensively, sometimes offensively. Maybe they do maybe a little bit of three-point shooting. Talk about some of these kids that have come onto this team and have made you guys a success that you've been so far this season.
Well, we've really had contributions from just about everybody on our squad, and we're really, really pleased with those kids. Obviously, Devarius Wright and J.P. Schifano came back from last year. They were only two sophomore or freshmen last year coming back. So we're really happy with their production. And then a lot of new guys that have come in. Trey Jones has come in, and a really fun story with Trey is that he's from Kenner, Louisiana, and there's been a connection between Rainy River and Kenner for a long time. And he's really proven himself and done well, so we're expecting great things from him down the stretch here. Greg Barber's come in. He's a Miami kid, about 6'3", very long, athletic, really nice kid, but very, very tough on the glass and just has very nice touch around the basket. Kevin Melendez shoots the bottom out of the thing. As they say in the South, he can shoot the skin off that thing. So, he's a kid you can't leave open, and, we're really happy to have him on the squad as well. And, we could go down the list. Every single kid that we've brought in, we feel like has produced. We've never brought in a kid that we thought was going to be 10, 11, or 12 on our bench. We just thought every kid would have an opportunity and compete, and we really think the depth that we have in these kids is one of our greatest strengths.
That was kind of where I was going to go. When you get that many players that are that talented, all of a sudden, you get to 9, 10, 11, and all of a sudden, instead of playing 25 minutes a game, they're only playing 15 minutes a game, and it makes it tough, and sometimes that can cause problems. Is it kind of fun as a coach, though, when you can kind of go, well, I can plug this kid in, I can go grab number 12, quote-unquote, off the end of the bench and throw him in and go, we're going to be fine?
Oh, absolutely. As a coach, you look down the bench and go, well, you know what, we feel like we can pull these 5 guys and put them all in if we want to, or these 2 guys to replace those 2, and we don't miss a beat, and we're really happy about that. And you're right about the minutes part. Is you have a lot of kids who are coming in from even large high schools where they had played a lot of minutes and scored a lot of points, and their role has been changed now, and so they're adapting and dealing with that, and we're really happy with their attitudes and willing to give to the team. You mentioned number 12. It's funny, we've got a kid named Jose Martino, and I believe he is number 12, and he's been coming off the bench and playing some significant minutes now. Played really well last night. Fun kid to watch also. He's about 6'2", really bouncy, can finish around the rim, and just really happy with all these kids. I could go by the list one by one of all the things that they're able to contribute, so we really look forward to continuing down the stretch with these guys.
Bouncy mean that he can jump? Is that the term?
Yeah, that's the term. So we use the term bouncy for kids who can really get off the floor quick and finish at the rim, or
I like that.
Be able to dunk on somebody and add some excitement to the game. But he's really diverse. He can not only can he do that, but he can step out and shoot and post you up, and it's just really fun to have a diverse group of guys who can do a little bit of everything. You don't have very many guys in there that are just a specialist on one end.
Let's talk a little bit about you. This is 3rd season, right?
That's correct.
Talk about your comfort level now being in the MCAC, especially the Northern Division Hall. Maybe not that it's always easier, but that what the other teams do. You kind of know what the coaches are. Talk a little bit about how much easier it is year 3 versus maybe year 1.
I don't know if it ever gets easier, but you certainly do get to know the other coaches and the other teams and what they've got going on, and you've got film for a couple of years and sort of understand the pace of the game here in the MCAC and the junior college ranks, and sort of what you need to do to be successful with your guys. And I don't know that it really matters to me because we only have one approach, and that is really to try to take our guys and make them into a family. We like to spend a lot of time with them and build that type of atmosphere, and we're really happy with our guys and how they've reacted to that. And as far as being in the MCAC, I just really have a lot of respect for the league and the coaches and the kids that play in this league and how hard they play, and how much time the coaches put in. So every night it's going to be difficult and it's going to be tough, but we hope that our kids are up to that challenge.
Coach, appreciate you being here as always. Always fun to talk to you. Look forward to coming out and watching a little basketball late this afternoon. and see how the Voyagers are doing. Thanks for being here.
All right, thanks, Tim. We really appreciate it.
Head coach Bill Engel from the Rainy River men's basketball team joining me. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll wrap it up here from Hardee's. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com.
Appreciate it.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner for our final segment. Thanks to our interviewees. It's already been a busy morning. I see them after 9:50. That means we got to get going and run through the week that was. Let's go back to last Saturday. Bronco boys basketball team was at home. They were hosting the defending Section 7-2A champion, Crosby Ironton. Not the team they were last year, as they lost all 5 of their starters. The Broncos lose by a final score of 71-62. Armando Barrios had 18 to lead the way. We talked about the Bronco boys hockey game last Saturday in Silver Bay against North Shore. The Broncos were down 2-1 after 1, 4-2 after 2, and then they get 3 goals in the third period. Beckvar, Lawrence, and Alleman got things started in the third period. Jackson Germain and Kane Koshik got the game winner with 1:06 left in the game as they won 5-4 in Silver Bay. The Bronco boys swimming and diving team was in Virginia for a 17 meet last week. The Broncos took 5th place behind Mesabi East, Chisago Lakes, Virginia, and Chisholm. Logan Phillips took 3rd place in diving, Robert Sweeney 4th in diving, Alex Bellinger a 1st in the 100 fly, a 2nd in the 50 free, Alex Bissonette took 7th in the 100 fly, Jake Slatinsky 4th in the 500 free, and the 200 free relay took 5th, and the 400 free relay, took 7th. The Bronco girls hockey team was at home against Duluth Marshall, ranked in the top 10 in the state. The Broncos were right there, 2-2. With just over 3 minutes remaining, they got the game tire. Unfortunately, the Hilltoppers scored twice just with under 3 minutes remaining, 8 seconds apart. They beat the Broncos by a score of 4-2. Fort Francis girls hockey team was in Thunder Bay last Saturday. They lose 6-2 and 3-1 on Saturday, and the Fort Francis Lakers lost to Dryden 4-3 in a shootout. On Sunday last week, the area Elks held their free throw shooting competition. The 8 to 9-year-old division was won by Robbie Rockwell. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I apologize if I'm not. The 8 to 9-year-old girls was won by Aliana Koenig. The 10 to 11-year-old boys, Connor Tomzak. The 10 to 11-year-old girls by Piper Tomzak. The 12 to 13-year-old boys, Jet Tomzak. Kind of trend there, folks. And the 12 to 13-year-old girls was won by Kelby Anderson. Don't forget, tomorrow, noon registration, 1 o'clock competition for the Knights of Columbus free throw shooting championship. That is at Rainy River Community College, so come on out for that. On Monday, the All Academic Awards came out for the first semester for the MCAC, and the Voyagers had 8 women that were named to All Academic. They are Isabella Edisted out of the Falls, Chelsea Cabate out of Seine River, Ontario, Kayla Klofstedt from Silver Bay, Carly Phillips from Camrose, Alberta, Allison Satri out of Grigla, Justina Hawley out of Fernley, Nevada, Gina Thydeen from Little Fork, and Tiana Terry from Brooklyn Park. The Bronco girls basketball team hosted the 7 times defending Section 7A champion MIB on Monday night, and the Rangers showed that they are still a force to be contended with. Their Mary Burke had 28 points in the first half. She ends up finishing with 38. The Broncos trailed 51-35 at the half, and it ended up 102-72 for MIB. Janet Humbert led the way with 12 points. The LBF girls basketball team was in another barn burner at the LBF gymnasium as they battled Ely. Remember, last week they beat Black Duck at the buzzer 48-47. The Timberwolves led 33-30 at the break. The Vikings were down 55-53 with 30 seconds left, but they just couldn't get that last chance. They lose 58-54. Kate Knabel led the Vikings with 18 points. On Tuesday, busy day, the Bronco girls hockey team got a goal from pair of goals from Morgan Rasmussen, one from Amber Thielander as they beat Bemidji 3-1. The Bronco boys hockey team got a 2-2 tie against Virginia at Bronco Arena on Tuesday night. Simon Palm had both goals in that game. The LBF girls basketball team got an absolute whooping down at Hill City as they beat the Hornets. They didn't get it. They gave the whooping, I should say. They won 71-37. Emily Franz had 18 points. Danielle Erickson had 10. The LBF boys lost at home to LaPorte 82-42 as Matt Kennedy had a dozen points. Logan Maish and Mason Borman each had 11. The Fort Francis girls went to Kenora and beat Beaver Bray 12-0. CC Hayes had 5 goals. Reese McQuaker had 2 herself. The Fort Francis boys also took on Beaver Bray. They came away with a 6-2 win as 6 different different players got goals in that game. And the Fort Francis Nordic skiing team saw Jessica Empey take 7th in the senior girls division race, and Joe Dueck took 5th place in the senior boys race. Those races took place in Atikokan. On Wednesday, Fort Francis girls get a 1-0 win over Dryden on a CC Hayes goal. The Fort Francis boys get a 4-0 win over Dryden. Darian Clem got the shutout in goal. Fort Francis is now off until they play the boys until they play the Broncos on the 29th, and the girls are also off until January 29th. On Thursday, the International Falls girls basketball team went to Evelyn. They come home with a 59-40 win. Grace Gilbert led the way with 14 points. And the wrestlers from International Falls, along with their counterparts from Nashwauk, Keewatin, and Greenway, they lost to Grand Rapids 66-18. Chris Berry was the only Bronco that wrestled in that meet with Grand Rapids. And he wrestled at 152 pounds and ended up being pinned. The Bronco girls hockey team got a 10-0 win last night in Park Rapids. Amber Thielander got the hat trick to lead the way as Grace Wegner got the shutout and goal. The Rainy River basketball teams, the women got a big win over number 7 Hibbing 71-66, and the men absolutely throttled Hibbing 117-76 as they scored 73 points in the second half. The Fort Francis Lakers got a 4-3 win at home against Minnesota. They get the rematch tonight down in Hoyt Lakes. Again, here's the schedule for today. In order: Broncos at home in girls hockey against Crookston at 1 o'clock. Girls basketball at home against Two Harbors at 2:30. Boys basketball in Proctor at 4 o'clock. Boys hockey at home at 6 o'clock. Again, we'll have that game for you on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. The Rainy River teams at home against Vermilion. The women at 1, the men at 3. And that's what's going on today. It's very, very busy. Get out and support these teams. Too cold to be going outside and doing anything else. Maybe you can go ice fishing if you got a nice warm shack to be in or an ice castle. But otherwise, get out and support the teams. Tomorrow, the Fort Francis curling teams head to Atikokan for a 2-day meet up there. And then I mentioned the free throw shooting championship tomorrow at Rainy River. Again, registration at noon. The competition begins at 1 o'clock. That is for girls and boys ages 9 to 14. That is if there was their age on January 1st. On Monday, Bronco girls basketball at home against Esco. We'll have that game for you on the air, beginning with the pregame right around 7 o'clock. The Fort Francis boys basketball and girls volleyball teams, they host Dryden on Monday afternoon, and the LBF girls basketball team is at home Monday night against Big Fork. On Tuesday, the Bronco boys basketball team is at Evelyn Gilbert. The Bronco boys hockey team is at home against Evelyn Gilbert Mesabi East. The boys swimming and diving team is at home against Evelyn Gilbert. You see a trend there? I think the ADs got together. That swimming and diving meet begins at 4:30. The girls basketball team is at home against Northwoods, so you can see boys hockey at home, boys swimming and diving, and girls basketball at home on Tuesday night. And the LBF boys, they'll be at home against Northeast Range on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the Rainy River basketball teams are at home against Northland. On Thursday, the boys basketball team from the Falls is in Hibbing. I'll be down there to bring you coverage of that game. The girls basketball team on Thursday is home against Duluth Denfeld. The Fort Francis Lakers are back down at Hoyt Lakes to face Minnesota at 7 o'clock. The LBF boys basketball team is in Nashwauk, Keewatin, and the girls basketball team hosts Lake of the Woods. I know they're looking forward to maybe a little revenge in that game. On Friday, just a couple of games going on as Icebox Days gets into full gear next week. The girls hockey team is at home against North Shore for a 7 o'clock game. We'll have that game on the air for you on K104 and rjbroadcasting.com. And the Viking boys basketball team, they'll be down at Big Fork. Next Saturday, another busy day. Of course, you've got the 5K and the 10K races with the Freezer Blizzard Run. The wrestlers are in Thief River Falls for an invite. The Rainy River women's hockey team, they are going to be up in Canada for a pair of games on Saturday and Sunday. The Rainy River men's and women's basketball team are at home at 1 and 3 o'clock against Itasca. The Lakers are in Thunder Bay. The boys swimming and diving team will be down in Duluth for the True Team meet, diving at 9 o'clock and the swimming to begin at 1. And then we'll have Bronco hockey on the air next Saturday afternoon as we will be their game against Duluth Denfeld. That starts at 3 o'clock. Thanks to Chad back at the station. Thanks to Dave and his folks here at Hardee's for taking care of our guests. Thank you to my guests, but most of all, thank you for listening to Coach's Corner. From Hardee's, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com.